The accused killer's trial begins just over a year after her 5-year-old son succumbed to massive salt poisoning. According to the medical examiner, the state says the 27-year-old woman in gray is essentially a monster.
I didn't kill my son. I didn't murder him. I didn't poison him. I didn't harm him in any way.
Instead of nurturing and protecting a beautiful child, you subjected him to 5 years of torment and pain. One does not have to be a psychologist to realize you suffer from a mental illness.
Within days, she was taking him to hospital and complaining that he wasn't eating, and he was failing to thrive, and he was getting all these infections and everything. Doctors were baffled by the various diseases which were inexplicable.
He had a feeding tube at one point.
That was put in about when he was 8 months old. She asked to have a feeding tube put in because she said he was a failure to thrive child. And he also had another procedure to close up his throat so he couldn't regurgitate or be sick. She wanted to be able to control what he ate. He'd be with other, friends, or they'd take him to the local diner and he'd wolf as much as he could. He always asked for seconds or thirds.
He was hungry.
Yeah, he was hungry.
And by many accounts, a normal kid.
Yeah, he had a very, very healthy appetite. But Lacey would say he never ate.
Was Garnett actually a sick kid?
According to Lacey, he was a very sick kid. Everybody else never saw any of that.
September, what a month, and it's only half over. Garnett has enjoyed driving his tractor through our neighborhood, playing in the rain, riding his bike for hours, and we spent a few days in the hospital.
Lacey said she wanted to change her son's diet over to a holistic diet. She was introduced to some people that said, this is a place where the way they live fits the diet that we think your son might thrive with.
She told everyone about Garnett, the terrible illnesses he'd had over his life. There were a lot of people that, were convinced that Lacey was a great mother, she looked after Garnett.
Poisoning this kid, and somebody was putting it in his system.
That's correct.
Who did you think that someone was?
Well, obviously, the caregiver is the mother.
And there were certain suspicions that something was going on, but nobody could really put their finger on what she was doing.
Complained that he was having seizures. They hooked him up to an EEG. The first day, there is no seizure. Monday morning comes, the nurse comes in with some great news for Lacey that Garnett had no seizure activity. He most likely would be going home.
The only information that I received from my supervisor was that there was a child that was apparently on life support, and there were some unusual circumstances surrounding the case. Introduced myself, shook his hand, told him who I was, and I told him that I was very sorry about the passing of Blake, Garnett's father. And he said to me, "Who's Blake?"
Daddy Blake.
Daddy Blake,
Who was not the father,
who was not the father.
who did not die in a tragic accident.
No.
When you executed the search warrant at her apartment, what did you find?
There was a small table off to the side. It had all the medications that she had told us. It was like 7, 8 medications that she told Detective Carvey that she was currently giving her son. In the middle of those was a sea salt container.
Sea salt.
Sea salt.
The video begins when Garnett checks in on Friday, and it records through Sunday when doctors and nurses tell Lacey that Garnett is healthy enough to go home. After medical personnel leave the room, Lacey appears to take Garnett to the bathroom, just outside of camera range. But when they come back into frame,
When he came back out of that bathroom, a few seconds, minutes, he turned into the most sick child, burying his head into the bed, the pillow, turning, retching. He was trying to throw up, but we've already know that he couldn't throw up because at 9 months old, he had an operation that kept him from throwing up. It's something that will haunt me. It was probably it's the worst video. We actually had to watch a video of a 5-year-old child being murdered.
I just miss spending time with him. I was with him and he was with me all the time. And I miss that. I miss just being able to pick him up and hug him and kiss him, tell him I love him. I miss everything about him, everything.